Hey Moon lovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. And as you can see, I am shut up in the bedroom again. I thought I had a whole day to myself today, but Tom has come back from London early. It turns out that there were rail replacements going into London yesterday, which took him and his friends rather a long time to get there, and so they decided to get an Uber back to home today. And the first Uber they got in broke down, so the second Uber got them back in an amazingly short time. And so I'm finally up here recording. And aside from that, I have been very focused this week, and I think I told you that I'd upgraded my coffee with some medicinal mushroom powders, and I'm drinking this lovely chai that comes with mushrooms in it, and a matcha which has got mushrooms in it. So, and all in a bid to help me with focus without having so much coffee. I have noticed recently that because I do a couple of days a week gardening with Tom, we always drink a lot of coffee because our customers make us coffee. And I have noticed that the coffee affects my digestive system a little bit, makes it a bit irritated. So I have been looking at ways of keeping myself focused and alert and energized, but in a upgraded way. And it seems to be working. And actually, as you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. So the other day, one of our customers offered us a coffee and I said, no, thank you. And she said, oh, I've got some peppermint tea if you prefer that. Perfect. So I have been super focused this week, and I have managed to work out how to put an online store onto my website, which, that facility has been there available for quite a few years. And as you know, if you listen to me regularly, technology is not my strong point. But this week I felt inspired, and we've got the new moon coming up this week in Aquarius on the 29th. But on the 29th, I'm going to be covering a yoga class over in Southend at a lovely yoga studio called Deep In Yoga. I love teaching there when I get the opportunity. But I realised it is the same day as the new moon. Sadly, I have a funeral to go to tomorrow. Well, actually, there is no funeral. It's a celebration of life that I'm going to, which is, I think, very much the age of Aquarius. It seems to me that people are ditching the idea of having a sad old funeral and are having celebration of life instead events. So I've got that. I'm teaching for a couple of nights. I've got dance rehearsals on Thursday. I think I told you all of this in the last podcast episode anyway, but there won't be an online moon ceremony this week. So I have created a new moon in Aquarius downloadable PDF workbook so that you can hold your own personal sacred moon ceremony at home for yourself so you don't miss out. So I was really inspired to do that. I've done a few workbooks now, which I have literally just emailed out to my regular and committed moon ceremony attendees, my regular Moonlovers. But I decided I would, once I'd done this workbook, how am I going to make it available to more people? Because you can come and book onto an event and receive the recording if you don't make it to a live event. But I have actually worked it out, so I'm feeling very pleased with myself, and I have sold a few workbooks already, and it's only been out for a day or so. So obviously I will put the links into the show notes here, But if you go to my website, which is kellyjones.me, that's KELLIEJONES.me, and go to the store. It's the only thing on the store, so you can't get it wrong. It's the only one there, and it is for only £7.77, and sevens are my number. My date of birth is 7/7/70, so now you know how old I am. But I love the sevens, so hopefully you'll love what you get for 7/77 just as much as I loved making it for you. It took me absolutely ages, so it's a total bargain, because it's definitely not going to make me loads of money, but it will bring me lots of pleasure knowing that you are not missing out on a moon ceremony for this new moon coming up. So on the 29th, new moon in Aquarius. So when there's a new moon, it means that the sun and the moon conjunct together in the sign that the sun is currently residing in. It's Aquarius season. And as well as the sun and the moon coming together in Aquarius, as we know, if you've been listening, that in November last year, Pluto finally made his way into Aquarius. So he's still sitting at the very beginning of Aquarius. So any planets that enter Aquarius are going to meet Pluto on their way in. And we have Mercury joining the queue in Aquarius this time round. So the energy of that is, definitely Mercury is to do with the mind. It's the ruler of Gemini. So it's very much about ideas, and being in Aquarius, that would be very innovative and different and imaginative ideas. So it's a really, really great time if you've got an entrepreneurial idea to step out of your comfort zone and speak it out loud. It's your communicating. It's the way that you communicate, your communicating style, if you like. So, pluck up some courage. Go to that opposite sign of Aquarius, which is Leo, who loves to be seen and loves to express himself, and use some of that energy to speak your mind a little bit more and, see what comes from that. So Mercury in Aquarius is about being true to ourselves, and that's about having true thoughts. So catching yourself when you're having an untrue thought is another thing that could come up here, because it's very much about you being the individual, authentic you. So really, Mercury really wants us to be true to ourselves and to share your sparks of ideas, those light bulb moments, to actually share them and not keep them all to yourself hidden away. As Mercury comes into Aquarius, obviously, as I said, he's going to meet Pluto. So he's going to be in a conjunction with Pluto. So we've got the Sun, Moon, Pluto, Mercury, all next to each other. So if we think that Mercury is the mind, so it's very much about the conscious mind, our thoughts that we have, and Pluto is that deep, unconscious mind, those thoughts that we kind of don't know are there, but they will surface at this time, and it's a really good time to tackle them as well. So I think I told you last week that I am reading this book, Wounds to Wealth, and doing some of the work that comes with it. So as you work through the book, there's 6 different wounds to wealth. So these are deep-rooted beliefs that we've probably inherited when we were very young and we didn't know any different. And as we know, our unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between true and not true. So it's down to us being conscious of those things to teach your unconscious mind a better belief. And that isn't the easiest thing to do, not when they've been there for nearly your whole lifetime, and they have been firing and fueling the way that you behave, the patterns that turn up in your life, those unconscious things where you think, gosh, why did I just do that again? Or why has that happened to me again? And for me, I'm looking at that around financial things, because Mercury for me is in my 8th house in my birth chart, along with the Sun, along with Mars. And yes, Mars is still retrograde in Cancer, so that energy is still there. So that will all be brought up for me right now, because Mars is still kind of semi-opposite Pluto at the moment. So quite, intensely strong energies. But once we know about these things, how can we work with them rather than have them feel like it's all against us? Let's take our power back and use them constructively for ourselves to heal, to feel better. So Mercury conjunct Pluto is bringing that conscious and unconscious mind together. So we may become aware of deeper things. We might get insights. Aquarius, we've also got Uranus stationing direct, literally the day afterwards, after the new moon. Uranus is still in Taurus at the moment, but it's been going retrograde through Taurus, and he's just stationing and about to move forwards. And Uranus is very much about a spark or a lightning bolt, to give us an insight. So all these things combined, it's a really good time to dive into some of those unconscious things that have been getting in our way. And I suppose if we talk about just Pluto being in Aquarius and what that means because Pluto's going to be there for the next 20 years, it's very much suggesting advancements in technology. I mean, we're already seeing them. We have no idea, do we, how advanced it's going to get. If we look back just 30 years ago, when there was, none of this was available, where I'm speaking to you now, I would have had to pick up the telephone to talk to you or record something onto a camera and send it to you in the post. So, look at how much things have changed in such a short space of time. And that was not in an Aquarian time, not in this very innovative, creative energy. So we can also see where some of those innovations and things that have been created in the past 30 years have been used in a way to sort of have power over us. And now it's time to look at how we can use them to empower ourselves again. So I must be catching some of these Pluto in Aquarius advancements with the technology vibes this week. As I've just said, I've worked out how to do an online store. So if you download the workbook, please do give me some feedback on that and let me know what you think, because there's always room for improvement, as I am a little beginner here. I went back to reading a little bit today about Pluto being in Aquarius, and there is an astrologer called Stephen Forrest. He's another one of the astrologers out there who have got the white beard. They look like a wizard and have been doing this for a very long time, and they really know lots and lots of knowledge about astrology. And he was I believe he's the creator of evolutionary astrology, which is just his spin on things. But I was reading his blog about Pluto in Aquarius, and I just took a little bit of what Stephen Forrest said. I'm just taking a few bits of what he said. So to help make sense of some of this energy that we're experiencing right now, I think it's really, really appropriate. So in a positive response to any transit, we evolve. Consciousness expands. That means that we see possibilities that we could not have seen before, and I truly mean could not, rather than a simple did not see. Something changes in you that makes everything look very different. And that to me really feels like once Uranus has moved into Gemini, around about June time, I think that is. I haven't got the exact date written in front of me, but it's June that Uranus moves out of Taurus, which was Earth, and into Gemini, which is air. So we've got Pluto in Aquarius, which is the air sign, and we'll have Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, in Gemini, another air sign. Gemini is creative, curious, and has new ideas. It's like early education, the beginnings of things. So he also said, let's scare ourselves a little. People are arguing a lot on Earth today. What if everybody is wrong? You included. Let's remember that if humanity gets this passage right, it will shock us. Uranus. The answers that are trying to emerge do not exist yet. Or maybe they do. But we've just not, or could not, see them before. The answers that are trying to emerge do not exist yet. Nobody has them. Pluto in Aquarius is about creating them. Get ready to be surprised, in other words. So Uranus takes 84 years to go around the zodiac. It's been in Taurus for 7 years. So Uranus is the planet of shocks and sudden surprises. So, we can always, and there's always equal chance of both good surprises and bad ones. Finally, I picked this out. Aquarius is the sign of paradigm shifts. It's about genius breakthroughs. Aquarian times are about getting out of bed one morning and everything in your life looks different, as if you've somehow awakened or grown up. So I really felt like that was really the energy of what we're starting to see right now. So these stelliums of planets. So we've got, the sun, the moon, Pluto and Mercury, all in Aquarius. And we've also got a stellium in Pisces as well, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Something to bear in mind whilst we work through this, we've still got this Mars retrograde in Cancer, which is that bit of a paradoxical energy between, going forwards and being attached and not being able to let go, so that you can move on. We've got that going on. We've got this bridge between worlds starting in Aquarius, and we're entering the end of the astrological year at the moment, regardless of it being the beginning of the calendar year. This new moon is also Chinese New Year. So it's also the beginning of the lunar calendar, because they still use the moon calendar. So this hopefully takes a little bit of pressure off us for this, it's the beginning of the year and I haven't got on with anything. And, this Mars retrograde not allowing us to move forwards as fast as we'd like. So, it certainly takes the pressure off for me. I never really feel like it's the beginning until at least April, when we enter the Aries season, which is the beginning of the zodiac. When the spring equinox arrives, that's the time when it always feels like it's a new year again. So we could either go with the 29th being the Chinese New Year, the moon calendar year, or we could go with Aries time of being the new year as well. So we get many opportunities to start again. Sometimes, though, we just need to go with the flow. And I think 2025 is definitely going to be one of those years. Pretty much every single very highly experienced astrologer out there is saying that 2025 will go down in history as being a year that we will all be talking about and we will all remember. Chaos is one of the words. And I think that is partially because we're stepping into such unknown territory. If we know, when we know something, we can prepare ourselves. But when we don't know what the weather's going to be like, we have to take all of our supplies with us. And this exponential growth in spiritual practices that people are starting to take on board, more and more and more. Tom, when he went to London yesterday, they were waiting for his friend, their friend that they were joining, to come back from a man's retreat. So he'd been to the gym in the morning and then gone on a man's retreat where they'd sat round a fire, walking in the woods, doing ice baths, stuff like that, talking to each other, with the speaking stick, etc. So, these things are happening all over the place. People drinking cacao and finding the blue lotus flower that opens you up, finding gong baths. So we have one of our Gong to the Moon gong baths this Friday coming, which is another reason why I couldn't do an online moon ceremony, because we've got a gong bath, so an Aquarius new moon gong bath at our lovely new venue with the heated floor. We still have spaces for that, by the way, so if you are local to us in Essex, that is on the 31st, and again you'll find that event in the show notes if you want to join us for that. But that, on our flyers, ever since we started Gong to the Moon, we've always had expanding consciousness on our flyers as part of that. That was our mission, was to help people expand their consciousness, their awareness, awakenings. We have the Uranus and Saturn gong, and we bought those, 5 or 6 years ago, before that these energies had become so appropriate. Uranus being very good for the collective consciousness. So back to my notes here. The year of the snake, Chinese New Year of the snake, and the Aquarian moon together at the same time encourages us to let go of the unknown, the shedding, and to embrace the unknown. So to let go of the known and embrace the unknown. An amazing breath work that I have been practicing recently as part of this Wounds to Wealth book that I'm reading, it gets you to say out loud, I don't really know what will happen. So this is at the end of the breath work, and it's quite an intense breath work, but it's worth it. It's only it's 22 minutes long, and I'll put the link to it actually in the notes here, in the link to the book as well, because I really think it's really worth reading. I haven't got all the way through it yet, but I'm recommending it already. And I don't really know what will happen, and try to find the comfort in the not knowing, embracing the uncertainty as much as you can, like looking forward to a surprise present rather than knowing what it is that you're going to get. The sun will shine, the rain will come, the stoplight will change colour. This is all out of your control. When you realise that, you are free. As you let your mind wander, whenever you notice yourself planning, predicting, seeking perfection, we've got the South Node just moved into Virgo, and the South Node is what we're moving away from and letting go of. So we're letting go of seeking perfection and just gently reminding ourselves, I don't know. So that's a quote from that breathwork. It's a video on YouTube. So powerful. So powerful. If you've not done breathwork before, by the way, it's quite intense, so maybe build up to it gently. Don't go for it straight away, because, again, that might shock you. Okay, so we've got, as I said earlier, we've got Uranus stationing in Taurus, and that's actually on the same day, I believe, as the new moon. It's either the 29th or the 30th. And any sort of big changes and upheavals in our lives that we've been experiencing since September last year, when Uranus has been retrograde since then, those will begin to smooth out. But Uranus will keep breaking open things like our relationship with finances, with security, with individuality, with liberation, with our sense of belonging, our sense of freedom, all those things. Because Uranus is connected to Aquarius, but it's also in Taurus, and Taurus relates to things like finances and food, money, how we feel, actually. It's the body, it's earth. So it's bringing in a new way that we relate to the earth that we live on as well, and a new way of knowing our bodies, getting to know our bodies better, and taking that power back over our own autonomy, over our own health. So finally, as I said, we've got this stellium of planets. So a stellium is, a lineup of planets all together in one sign. So we've got Saturn, who's been there for quite a long time. We've got Venus, who is moving through. She moves a lot faster. She's moving through. She's next to Neptune, who's on his way out of Pisces now. And Neptune takes 165 years to go around the zodiac, and is at the end of Pisces, the end of the zodiac. So coming up, we will have Neptune moving into Aries at the beginning again, and shortly after that we'll have Saturn moving out of Pisces to join Neptune in Aries. So they will be at the beginning. And as I've said before, nobody yet has found where Saturn and Neptune have been together at 0 degrees of Aries in recorded history. So going back as far as we can, we can't find that. So it really is a beginning that is unknown. We've got nothing to compare it to. So it really is, this Pisces energy is about flowing, going with the flow, or flowing with the go, as Steve Judd, astrologer, says, and back to accepting I don't know. Neptune is the ruler of this stellium. Neptune's the ruler of Pisces. Neptune is next to the North Node. So that's the North Node of the moon. And the nodes have just shifted out of Aries and Libra into Pisces and Virgo. And the North Node is where we are headed. It's our soul's path and journey, collectively and individually. And the North Node is with Neptune, dreamy Neptune, in Pisces. So we've got all this, we've got that lovely Venus energy there as well. She's in her exaltation and she's come to join them. So it's a very, very dreamy, fluid energy going on. And it really is about higher enlightenment. It's the return to spirit part of the zodiac. It's where we become one with everything again, about letting go of being attached to our earthly stuff. Pisces is about compassion, finding compassion. So even though we see these awful things happening out in the world, what it is doing is it is pulling up compassion in us all. It's a very creative energy as well. Very creative. This might be brought about, this compassion may be brought about by the fact that there are many energies leaving here, this earth, permanently. So there are energies that have affected us deeply, also force things that we have aspired towards or aspired to people that we've aspired to, that people that we've over idealized, people that we've given our power over to. We're at the end of that zodiac cycle, the return to spirit. It's the end of the spell, the dissolving of the illusion. It's with Saturn there in the mix as well. It's like Saturn is coming along and pulling the curtain back and showing you reality, the Lord of reality, that's Saturn, before we move on to the beginning again in a very different paradigm. So regardless of how this all plays out collectively or personally, it really is the perfect time in this fluid Pisces flowing, letting go energy to meditate. Meditate, meditate, meditate. It's almost non-negotiable. Make it non-negotiable. It's a good time, if you like to pray, to pray. You know, praying is asking, meditating is listening. To create. A video came up on my feed the other day on YouTube, and it was just a normal guy who worked at Domino's Pizza, talking from, taking quotes from the Bible and talking about having some purpose in his life. And he loves working at Domino's Pizza because he loves the people, and he just does one shift a week there now. But his purpose is helping people to have a purpose by speaking on YouTube and creating something. So he felt like he wasn't doing anything in the world, creating anything new. So he's put himself out there on YouTube. He earns money from that, but he also loves to work at Domino's Pizza. So it's not an advert for them. I am not affiliated with them at all. Never ever buy one. But anyway, just a little story for you. Create in whatever way that means, creating means to you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to be an artist, a painter, a poet. But if they are things that you love to do, do them. It will help you when you are creating something to feel different, to feel that you have purpose, that you are creating something from you instead of replicating. So this extreme amount of air, energy and water makes it hard to stay grounded. So staying grounded is another thing that's non-negotiable. You know, bring it into your day that you go for a walk, get outside, get into nature. Not that you would want to be outside here right now. It is like, you know, a hullabaloo of wind and rain. It's really grim. I am actually going out for a walk in a little while to meet my best friend Jackie. I said the weather isn't appealing, but seeing you is, so I'm going to make myself walk in that weather regardless, which will definitely ground me. You know, just getting on your yoga mat, that's what I do. Sometimes I just sit on my yoga mat. If I end up getting into my body whilst I'm on there, that's, you know, getting into your body. Go to the gym, that's grounding. Holding sacred ceremony, because that is being still and present. Instead of being up here too much with this Mercury Aquarius energy, we could be up here a little bit too much. So pulling ourselves down into our bodies is recommended. You know, drinking a nice cup of warming chai, teaching my classes, that grounds me. Hands in the earth, gardening. So anyway, you know what grounding means to you. Maybe just even eating sometimes and not being empty will help. And if you're not sure what grounds you, then have fun experimenting. Create a new way of grounding that somebody else hasn't thought of before. So finally, just coming back to my workbook. So just to remind you that there's no new moon in Aquarius online moon ceremony this week, but there is your own ceremony that you can download from my website, New Moon in Aquarius workbook, only £7.77. And if you download that workbook, in there is a code that you will only get if you download the workbook that gives you 25% off a moon reading with myself. So that moon reading is an hour and a half. It takes me ages to prepare because I handwrite your moon chart for you. All I need from you for that is I need to know your rising sign. So I will need details of your time, place, and city of birth. And then what I do is I plot your whole chart for all the new moons, all the full moons for the coming year ahead from whenever we do it. So that will take us into 2026 now. And we go through that, and we also have a bit of a deep dive on your moon sign. So your moon sign is how you are on your inner world. It's your inner environment. It's how you are emotionally, how you feel about things, and how you deal with things emotionally. And that helps to make sense of how you could be and help you to guide you through what we can do to balance out your moon sign energy, to get you through all the different houses and areas of life that the moons are showing up for you. So yeah, there's a 25% off code there for you to do that. And I'm going to leave it on that note because I'm going to go and meet my friend Jackie and have some dinner and have a nice chat and a catch up. And I will see you all again next week. Moon blessings, new moon blessings to you all.